Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 25th March today, and as you know, we are going to discuss few important questions here which could be very much relevant for your preparation. But before we will start our discussion, I would like to give the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. I will try to be very much brief in it. In this video we are going to discuss three types of questions, and these questions would be taken from three different sources. So depending on it, the first set of questions which we are going to discuss here would be taken from the current affairs of the today's newspaper. What we are going to do, we will take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We are going to discuss them. We are going to break them down into the simplest language possible, and after that we are going to derive the possible prelims question from those particular topics, so that it will give the idea which part of the newspaper is important for you, what should be your approach when you are reading these news articles, and how you can expect a possible prelims question from those particular topics. This is what we are going to do in the first set of our discussion, in the first phase of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will shift our approach to the another part. Here we will discuss questions from the static portion. Currently we are discussing Indian polity, and in Indian polity we are discussing the Parliament of India. And in Parliament of India, we are about to complete the Raj Sabha now. Today we are going to discuss few more concepts related to Raj Sabha, and we will try to derive the particular question which can be framed related to those concepts, so that it will give the proper idea, full idea how a question can be asked in the exam related to these topics, how even though they seem very discrete, but still questions can be asked in the exam, and it will prepare you well for that. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static part, we'll shift our approach to the last part of our discussion, where we'll discuss questions from the previous year question book. To me, this is the most important part of our discussion, because in here we will learn what is the vocabulary used by UPSC for framing your papers, what are the different trends they try to follow for framing your papers, and at the same time we'll try to learn what can be the different methods which we can implement in the exam if we don't have the proper knowledge of the question which is asked in the exam, how still we can solve that question. And also we will try to learn how we can implement this information in the upcoming exam. So this is in nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now before we will start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends, and please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. With this, let's have a look at the first question which we had brought today. Here, as you can see on the screen, the question is basically talking about the food waste index report. you know Here the question asks us which agency or which organization gives us this report. Why we are discussing this question here, that is some separate topic which we will discuss after we solve the question. So let's solve the question first. Let's know what is this food waste index report which is talked about, which we are going to discuss here, and which organization gives us this report. Here the question says the food waste index report is an important publication that provides insights into global food waste. So it gives us the insight about the global food waste, where in which part of the world the food is wasted, what are the ways it is wasted, and what is the contribution of the total. If we will compare it with other countries, what is the percentage contribution of a particular country. So it gives us the insight about the global food waste. So further, what does the question say? It says which of the following organizations publishes this report. So we need to know, UPSC has this habit of asking such questions. So we need to know here which organization publishes it. Is it Food and Agriculture organization? No, it does not publish it. Most of you who don't have the proper knowledge will, if you will go for the guessing the question, you will go for this statement, but it would be incorrect. Second statement, World Health Organization, totally incorrect. Fourth statement, World Food Program, incorrect. The correct answer to this is United Nations Environmental Program. So this is environment program. This is exactly the correct option for this United Nations Environment Program. It comes up with this index, food waste index report. It comes up with this report. So with respect to this question, the correct answer is option C. So here I would like to add one more thing, that whenever such questions are asked of which you don't have the knowledge, and you want to guess, because wordings match. My request to you guys is, my personal experience is, if you are scoring, if you believe that you are scoring good and still you would want to go for this question, then please don't go for it. If you think in the exam you are scoring above 50 questions or above 40 questions and you will want to go for such questions, then don't go for it. Most of the times you may get confused, you may get confused with such questions, with such options. If you don't have the proper knowledge and you have options like that, my request to you guys is, don't go for that. Just leave it there. So with this was little bit info which I wanted to share here. With this, let's have a discussion about the context of this question, why we brought this question. So till now we established the food waste index is there. It is a report there which is published by United Nations Environment Program. So why we are discussing this? Basically this United Nations Environment Program, it came up the food waste index report 2024, and it has highlighted a different trend about India. You know, we remember when India got independence, India was very food, we had huge food scarcity. We depended, we were huge food dependent. We depended upon the imports from the other countries with respect to foods. But later the initiatives such as green revolution, they flourished. Green revolution initiatives like green revolution and other things, other reforms were brought forward by the government of India, and by the hard work from the farmers and the policies from the government, we came to the position where we are now. We are one of the food exporters in the world. We are food exporters in the world. But still, are we food sufficient? That is something different question. If we were the food sufficient country in the world, then in our country there should have been no person who would had who would had gone to the bed without eating food. But in our country this is the case. So are we really food sufficient? That is some different topic. But are we exporting food? 100% we are exporting food. We are exporting few crops. We are the top exporters of the few food crops. But here the discussion is different. Here the article, this report as given by the UN, United Nations Environmental Program, it has highlighted that in India itself in 2024, 1.5 billion tons of there was almost wastage of 1.5 billion tons of food. 1.5 0.5 billion tons of food wastage was there in India in 2024. So definitely there is huge wastage of food in India with respect to that. And also, if we will calculate it by the per capita household in India, if we will calculate it by the per capita household in India, it would come approximately 55 kg, 55 kg kilograms of food per year is wasted by every household. So definitely there is huge wastage of food in our country, and there is the paradox also in it. Even though we are exporting the food, but still we are in our country there are people who are not consuming at all, who sleep without consuming any food, and the reason for that is the wastage which is happening in our country. And here the author further explains what are the different types of wastages which are happening. There are some structural wastages, like for example, we don't have the warehouses. The farmers produce food and they are to be transported to the warehouses, and they are to be transported to the to the wholesalers, then to the retail shops, then to the consumers. This food is getting lost in this process. In this way this food is getting lost because there is no connectivity, there is no proper connectivity, the warehouses are not properly built, and because of that the food is getting wasted. And another thing which was highlighted by the author is the wastage done by the households. The unnecessary food being cooked by the households, and it is being getting wasted there, and that is also one of the major source of wastage of the food. So these two sources are highlighted by the author here, and this is the data which I think is very much important for you. With this I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, the question is basically talking about the what are the countries which are bordering China. So why we had brought this question? Reason, because there was a discussion in today's news article. What should be the India's approach with China? How our relation should be with China in the coming years? With respect to India and China, we cannot, in a way, decouple them. We know with respect to the trade. The trade between the two countries is very huge, and India has huge trade dependence on China. There is huge trade deficient. India is highly dependent on China. There is there is a trade deficiency from Indian side, so definitely there is dependence on China from the Indian side. We depend on Chinese imports. We are highly dependent on Chinese imports. And if we look at the present geopolitical scenarios, if we look at the present geopolitical, how the geopolitics is working, there is no, a, in a world which is, in a world where we have USA as the major world power, and that USA is, right now is right now governed by whom? In a way, governed by the President Donald Trump, who is very much, not that trustworthy, who is very much a unique person. His policies are very much out of the box. He had gone, what were the conventional ways of the policies of US. He had gone away from those policies. So in this world, which is in which the superpower is USA, the trade is controlled by USA, and that country, that particular country, which is controlled right now, which is under the power of President Trump, this world is not, is not stable. So the world is not stable. So with respect to this, what should be the India's approach? Should India totally dependent on USA? Should India blindly trust USA? The answer to this question is no. India cannot blindly trust USA. We had seen the cases with respect to Russia Ukraine, how in a way USA betrayed Ukraine, how in a way, USA arm twisted Ukraine with respect to its own interest. So we can never assume that if any situation happens between China and India, that USA will support India with respect to that. So definitely there is, the world is changing right now, the geopolitics is changing right now, and here the author highlights that it is the prime time for India to focus on the trade, to focus on the relationship with China. It is better for India to develop its relationship with China, so that it will help India either in negotiating with USA, so that it can be a, it can act as a negotiating table for USA, for India with USA, and it will show USA that they have other options, so USA will not like India to go that close to China. So in this way, the relationship with China is always good, and it is always preferable that we should maintain the proper relation. And such question was asked to the Jai Shankar also, and he answered the same, that currently we cannot, it is better for us, it is sane for us to develop the good relationship with China. So with this, we need to have the good trade relationship. Even though we are enjoying the deficiency, we are trade deficient with respect to China, but still, we need to improve our that. We are highly dependent on China. We need to improve our trade between India and China is more than 100 billion. So definitely there is need to improve this trade, but still, there is, we need to develop our relationship with China. Whatever had happened before 2020, let us keep that there, but let's keep it there. We can discuss that some other day, but right now, what is the need for India to develop this relationship with China, to try to develop the trust with China, and at the same time, there should be the definitely there should be the development in the defense sector also, as the author here highlighted. So with respect to this, we had brought this question here. We often discuss China in many ways, but none of the ways we had discussed what are the borders, what are the countries which are bordering China. So here we had brought the question. Let's solve the question here. Question says, consider the following countries: Afghanistan, Laos, Nepal, Vietnam, and Uzbekistan. Question further says, which of the countries given above share land border with the People's Republic of China? So with respect to this question, Afghanistan does share border with China. Laos does share, Nepal does share, Vietnam does share, Uzbekistan it does not share. So with respect to this question, the correct answer would be option A. And here I had highlighted other countries which share border with China. So they are Afghanistan, Bhutan, India, Kazakhstan, North Korea, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, and Vietnam. These are countries which share land border with China. So please do remember such things. Often UPSC has asked such questions with respect to various countries, so don't get surprised if such question would be asked in the exam. So with this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. Now let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, here the question is with respect to the equalization levy. Why it is in news? Because India is about to end the equalization levy with respect to the foreign companies. So that's why it is in news. So let's solve the question here. The question says, with reference to the equalization levy, consider the following statements. First statement, it is a direct tax levied on the revenue generated by non-resident e-commerce operators from online advertising services provided in India. 100% correct. Second statement, the levy aims to ensure a level playing field between the domestic and foreign digital companies operating in India. 100% correct. Third statement, the equalization levy is administered by the World Trade Organization. No, it has nothing to do with the World Trade Organization. It is India's domestic, direct tax. So it is totally incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statement would be statement A, that is 1 and 2 only. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, the question is with respect to Venezuela. Why it is always in news? Because right now the Donald Trump has promised to slap tariffs on the countries who are buying oils from the Venezuela, and it may impact India too. So here with respect to this, we need to know what are the countries which are bordering Venezuela. A question about it can be asked in the exam. So let's solve the question here. Question says, which of the following countries share land border with Venezuela? Brazil, it does share. Ecuador, no, it does not share. Colombia, Guyana, all the three, Brazil shares border with Venezuela. Colombia shares border with Venezuela. Guyana shares border with Venezuela. Ecuador does not share border with Venezuela. So with respect to this question, the correct answer would be option B, that is 1, 3, and 4. With this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the context why we had brought this question here. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought. Well, here the question is about the dare to eradicate TB. Why we had brought this question here? Because from the yesterday there were many articles in the newspaper which discussed about the tuberculosis. We had discussed everything about tuberculosis. If we will bring all the discussions which we had done till now, so it will compile a discussion about 2 to 3 hours if we will bring all that into the one video. So here we had brought another question, as it is talking about dare to eradicate TB. It is an initiative launched in India. It was launched in 2022. So it says, dare to eradicate TB is a recent initiative launched in India. Which of the following statements best describes the primary objective of this initiative? So here we have to find out what is the primary objective of the initiative. First, to provide financial assistance to TB patients for nutritional support. No. Third, to accelerate the development of new drugs and vaccines for TB treatment. Totally incorrect. To establish specialized TB treatment cancers in remote rural areas. No. Second statement, to promote public awareness and community participation in the fight against tuberculosis. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, dare to eradicate TB, it is a recent initiative launched in India. So it is about promoting public awareness and community participation in the fight against tuberculosis. As we know that the target to eliminate TB was 2025, which seems way, we are nowhere near close to that target, but still, such initiatives like TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan and Dare to Eradicate TB were few initiatives from the government of India to eradicate it. So with this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. With this, we complete our today's discussion with respect to the questions from the current affairs part. Now let's move to the another part where we will discuss questions from the static portion and see what static question we had brought today. As you can see here on the screen, the question says, which of the following statements accurately reflects the deliberative powers of the Rajya Sabha? Today we are discussing about the deliberative powers of the Rajya Sabha. So here let's see what are the deliberative powers. It is one of the important function of the Rajya Sabha is to focus public attention on major issues affecting policies of the government and administration and to provide a forum for ventilation of public grievances. So the important function of the Rajya Sabha is to focus public attention on major issues affecting policies of the government and administration and to provide a forum for ventilation of public grievances, and this responsibility is discharged through the deliberation on general budget. There would be deliberation on general budget. They will discuss what will be its impact on the public. Railway budget, motion of thanks on the presidential address and working of various ministries, departments, passing bills on various policies, policy statements made by the government, and also Rajya Sabha also places its views on various international issues. So these are few deliberative powers of the Rajya Sabha. So with respect to this, let's solve the question. The question says, first statement, the Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in terms of introducing a money bill. Totally incorrect. Second statement, the Rajya Sabha can only delay legislation but cannot veto or block it. Delay legislation but cannot veto or block it. I don't know with respect to deliberative powers. So let's keep this statement here. Third statement, the Rajya Sabha plays a key role in representing the interests of states and union territories in the legislative process. 100% correct. Third statement is correct. Fourth statement, the Rajya Sabha is empowered to initiate constitutional amendment but cannot pass them independently. This is also true. It cannot pass them independently. So third and fourth option is correct. So which makes option 2 also correct. The Rajya Sabha can delay the legislation but cannot veto or block it. Actually here the context of this statement is not given. I think it is basically talking about the money bill. It can delay it only for the 14 days. So we can say it can delay it. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is statement 2, 3 and 4 only, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option B. With this, let's move to the last part of our discussion and solve the previous year question and see what question was asked there. As we know that this question was asked in 2007 in the world geography. So let's see what the question says. Through which one of the following straits does a tunnel connects the United Kingdom and France? It is Strait of Dover. Their tunnel connects United Kingdom and France. So with respect to this question, the correct answer would be option 3. So with this, we complete our discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.